Good afternoon and welcome to the Celtic Way, the Gamba Osaka 0 Celtic 1 post-match reaction briefing. Even though the badge says Celtic Way, sit down. It's a sit down with me, myself, A Haggerty 10 at A Haggerty 10, Tony Haggerty, as you know, and Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C. Macdonald. Celtic end their Japanese tour with a 1-0 win. Aidan, can't say fairer than that, can we?
No, I think it was an improved performance on the defeat to Yokohama in the last game, Tony. I would say it's probably was improved in areas now. Maybe wasn't as entertaining from a neutral point of view, I guess, given it was a 10-goal thriller the last time. But I know you and I, and I'm sure Ryan as well, was happy to see the team keep a clean sheet. And yeah, Bernabei getting his goal was nice.
I was delighted the team kept a clean sheet. That's what I asked for on Wednesday when I spoke with Ryan. We dissected the Yokohama F. Marinos game. So, yeah, 1-0 win for Celtic. Alexandro Bernabe, how do we say that? People gave me into trouble the other day for... yes, Santoy comes in. First comment, well, Tony, you got your clean sheet. I most certainly did. Delighted with that, Aidan. Absolutely delighted. So, I'll come to you first, Aidan, and ask you what your main takeaways were from that. I know we fired out an immediate reaction piece and a couple of things we'll maybe touch upon there, but what was your immediate thoughts? Celtic played two teams, incidentally, a team for the first half and a team for the second half. Now, I'll try and flick the team up. Now, the team that started was Hart, Taylor, Starfelt, Abada, Turnbull, Iwata, Maeda, Hatate, McGregor, Forrest and Welsh. Cracking first half, Aidan, I thought it was a right cracking contest. Maeda denied a perfectly legitimate goal, which turns out was onside, but conversely, Gamba Osaka were denied a perfectly legitimate goal. So it's not just Scottish referees, Aidan, that's catching. It extends to all over the world. Referees and assistants aren't very good, but we'll not get into that, eh? But it would have been nice for Maeda to claim his fourth goal of the tour, eh? You're on mute.
Apologies. It would have been nice for him to get another goal, and like you say, it was perfectly legitimate. But I think just the fact he's getting in the positions like he was in the previous match is a real positive, and we've seen sort of Maeda in this number 9 role. He looks really effective now. I know it's early in the pre-season. There's a lot of football to be played. Celtic's yet to obviously be involved in a competitive match, but they were two decent standards of opposition, particularly Yokohama in the first tie, obviously being champions of the J League, etc. They played really well last season when they won that competition. So the fact he's doing it against a team like that, albeit one that he was very familiar with, is a positive for me. And yeah, I thought it was a bit of a shame he got his goal chopped off, but I guess it did kind of even itself out, Tony, when Gamba Osaka also got a perfectly good goal chopped off.
Now, I don't know about you, but my main takeaway from certainly the first half was Hatate is proving to be the baller that we all thought he was. He's and I wrote in the immediate post-match reaction piece that we did, he's a lean, mean, green and white midfield machine. Aidan, his core upper body strength's brilliant. There was one instance, I think, where he took the ball from a throw-in and there was a guy clattering him, from the back, and he just kind of held him off, and he played the ball. And I think Peter Grant in the commentary noticed that as well, and he said, that is his upper body strength. He doesn't care when he wants the ball, and he said you could actually hear Brendan Rodgers saying, "Give Hatate the ball." So I'm liking that, and I'm liking the fact that he's not shy in demanding the ball, and some of his passing in that first half was exquisite, and I use that word not lightly, but I thought it was excellent. And I think over the two games, Hatate's just shown us exactly what we thought he was, and I think if Brendan Rodgers can improve him, he will make him an elite level footballer.
Yeah, I think these two games have probably shown what a lot of fans already thought, which is that Celtic really need to be pulling out all the stops to try and keep Hatate, whether that's a new deal or even he just make sure he stays for another season. I don't exactly know kind of what form it will take, but yeah, he's a phenomenal player, Tony, and probably one of these guys that it's quite difficult to actually find new ways to describe him. I know at times last season, sometimes it might have felt repetitive, some of the analysis we were putting out there, because he just does so many aspects of the game well. And we know he can have the odd slack pass here and there, but majority of the time that's because he's taking a risk and trying to break the lines, try to create a chance, etc. So I think we can forgive that. I don't think a lot of his sort of mistakes come from passing the ball back and, maybe playing in the opposition attackers or anything. It's usually maybe he gives the ball away in the middle of the park, which can happen sometimes. I'd much rather he was doing that than every single pass was a sideways sort of safe one that doesn't really lead to anything personally, Tony. But yeah, he's been phenomenal across these games. Him and Maida, the two clear standouts, and fingers crossed here he'll sign a new contract, or at least Celtic will be able to keep him for another season.
James comes in and says, get Hatate on a 7-year deal now. Yeah, I think a lot of Celtic supporters would want that. Ralph, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm going to flick this up, but I think you're in the minority here, Ralph. He thought that Hatate wasn't that good today. Slack passing and shooting all over the place. I remember him shooting one over the bar, but slack passing and he wasn't very good. I completely disagree with, but we all see the game differently, Ralph. You're entitled to that opinion, Aidan. Did you see it the way Ralph saw it, or did you see it the way I saw it?
I would, given obviously what we were just discussing, I thought Hatate was pretty good, to be honest, Tony. I can understand where he's maybe coming from to an extent, and that his passing can be a wee bit wayward sometimes, but I wouldn't say it's like, the majority of passes he plays or anything like that. I know we don't really have any specific data in front of us for this match, given it was a friendly.
Yeah.
It wouldn't usually be like loaded up in stats bomb, etc. So I wouldn't have specific numbers in terms of how often they gave the ball away, but in terms of the eye test for this game, I thought he played pretty well. We should point out, obviously, as anybody would have seen that watched the match, Celtic did change the whole team at half time, so it's just a 45-minute spell we're discussing here with Hatate and Maida, etc. But no, I thought he was positive. He was trying to play, and maybe not quite as flashy as his performance against Yokohama, Tony, with some of the passes in that were outrageous, but I thought he was pretty good today, and yeah, one of the better players on the pitch.
So did I. So that's say I flicked Ralph's comment up because you're entitled to your opinion, Ralph. If that's what you saw, so be it. I'm not going to argue with you or here to tell you nobody's wrong. It's just all opinion, isn't it? So there you go. I also like the look of Turnbull. Aidan, I don't know what you thought about Turnbull, but looked a bit hungry, didn't he? Looked like he wanted to make a valid impact and a valid contribution, and he certainly did.
The Bill was back, Tony.
The Bill's back. Is that you saying?
Well, I don't know yet. There's still there's a long way to go, obviously, this season. But I thought that was probably the best I've seen Turnbull for a while. And a lot of that is probably down to not really poor performances he put in under Ange last season. Just that there was plenty of games he wasn't involved, or he only came on for that sort of last 10 minutes, which, as we know, is very difficult for a footballer to make an impact in that time. But
sure,
I thought Turnbull was pretty good today, Tony. Maybe that's somebody Brendan Rodgers has sort of earmarked as he can do a Stuart Armstrong or a Kieran Tierney, etc., and develop them into an even better player.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, that's just speculation. But I think with Turnbull, if he is going to be an important part of the team this season, or he's going to play at least more than he did last year, you'd be wanting to get him signed up to a new deal. I don't want to turn this into too much a contractual discussion because I know we're here to review the game, but I just thought it's worth touching on since Turnbull does only less than 12 months now. He's got left on his deal. So, and if he's going to keep putting in performances like that, it wouldn't be somebody you'd want to lose for nothing next summer.
All the R's here, Aidan. Rodgers, when you look at Turnbull, Renaissance and a resurrection. Is that what we're looking for here?
Is that a headline you see coming for a piece at some point?
The triple R, yeah, Rodgers, Renaissance, resurrection, possibly, yep. But I'm just kind of looking at it in terms of Turnbull. If there's one person that can get the best out of Turnbull and resurrect, try that again, put teeth in, resurrect his career at Celtic and give him a new lease of life, I think it's Brendan Rodgers, isn't it? And I think you just, as I've spoken about before, and which kind of annoyed me about the Yokohama game because they gave away 6 goals, but it doesn't really matter. But today I thought they were all on it. Lots of the players were on it. Those are the idiosyncrasies and behaviours that I'm talking about. I picked up on a lot of that, and a lot of them, it seemed to me that obviously Brendan had a word with them, and there was a desire to keep a clean sheet. There was a desire to, to bust a gut and go forward and try stuff and be more expressive on the park. And I think that comes from listening to what the manager's saying. So Stephen Kennedy coming in saying he thinks that Turnbull's Rodgers type of player. I think so too. And I'm all for that if he could improve players like that, Aidan, because Turnbull's got a cracking shot on him. Great dig, from distance. His passing today was on point quite a few times. And he's still a young player, and I still think he's got a lot to give and a lot to show at Celtic. And I, like you, would like to see him on an extended deal or offered a new deal. I know this is not about players on deals, but just from what I saw today, I'm hoping that he can gain some real confidence from that and take it into games that matter.
Yeah, I completely agree, Tony. And I think we know how good Turnbull's range of passing can be when he gets right into the thick of things. I mean, last season, I know obviously the goal ended up getting chopped off unfairly away to Motherwell, but that ball he played, I think it was. Oh, no, sorry. It wasn't the goal that was chopped off, it was Maida. He played in for a goal against Motherwell last season. I can't remember if it was the League Cup or the league, because I know we played them kind of quite close together, but it was a brilliant sort of outside of the foot pass.
Yes.
Kind of chipped right over the defender. Maida, one touch and a goal. Probably one of the better goals Celtic scored last season, particularly on the counter attack. And he's got that style about him that he's not afraid to try and take a sort of chance with a pass, maybe as well. I mean, maybe not as much as Hatate, but yeah, I think he's got a lot of positive attributes, Tony, and he's actually somebody. I don't want to get too sort of over the top after the 45 minutes in a friendly, but he's somebody now that I would maybe like to see a wee bit more of this season. Probably more than I'd thought previously. It's obviously going to be dependent on his contractual situation, whether or not Celtic bring anybody else in that position as well. Which, if Hatate was to move on, could be the case. But yeah, I thought he was pretty astute with a lot of the things he was trying to do, and I hadn't somebody describing him as a Brendan Rodgers type player. Based off that sort of small sample size, it looked like that's the case anyway.
Yes. Now, going into the second half, Brendan Rodgers changed the whole team. So he brought on Siegrist, Scales, Kyogo, Haksabanovic, Ohm, making his debut, Bernabe, whatever you want to say it, O'Reilly, Law, Vata, and McPherson. Now, obviously, the one we're going to talk about here is Alexandro Bernabe, whatever way is perfectly acceptable to me. What a goal he scored in terms of chasing down and following his original pass, which was utter mince, I think, as the manager almost alluded to. But I think, again, going back to what I'm talking about, behaviours, that's the way you do it, Aidan. If you make a mistake, that's how you atone, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the best examples ever of making a mistake, then it's still looking like it worked out all right. I actually thought overall Bernabe, whatever route we're going to go down with that name, Tony. I know we debated that last season as well. I thought he was okay today overall, just in terms of his general play. That was also a really good example of him following through and pressing well. It was a bit slack at times for me, as we know he can be, but look, he could be another one that Brendan Rodgers is going to earmark to try and improve. As I mentioned earlier, obviously did a lot for Kieran Tierney's game from left back, so be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, I think sometimes he can blow a bit hot and cold, Bernabe. I don't want to be too critical, because I know he did score, but just sometimes some of his decision making I think is quite poor, and I think that's probably why Ange got frustrated with him at times. When he was inverting quite a lot, he was coming in and then maybe not playing the correct pass or giving the ball away. We didn't see as much of that today, but I just think that, and sometimes he can be found wanting a bit defensively. I appreciate the caveat of the heat, jet lag, all that sort of stuff across both of these matches, but yeah, I think he's still got a bit to go to really be trying to challenge Greg Taylor, to be honest, never mind to become number one.
A lot of learning yet. And something I did notice as well, Aidan, was the inverted fullback. Now, it's still there, but it's tweaked and it's not as we know it really, is it? Because when Taylor was coming inside, Iwata was staying where he was, so that Celtic always had a back three. And then when Iwata was coming inside, Taylor was back in defence. So I don't know if that's the way Rodgers wants to play it, so that you don't get the two of them coming in and then you leave yourself exposed with just two at the back. But there was always three at the back for Celtic, regardless of which one of the full backs inverted. I kind of noticed, and Peter Grant was kind of saying that as well. in Celtic TV commentary, he mentioned it, that he's kind of picked up on that, and he was asking if that's kind of maybe the new way forward for Celtic in terms of Brendan Rodgers' tweak on that kind of inverted fullback style. Don't know what you thought of that, or you picked up on it as well, or you noticed it?
Yeah, there was definitely a tactical tweak, as there was in the first game as well. For the Yokohama match, I'd written a wee bit about that, just saying there was aspects of Ange's sort of style in there, still to an extent, but it was clear that Rodgers had put his own mark on it. When I was writing about the Yokohama game, it was more about the specific formation, the 4-2-3-1, moving from the 4-3-3. Obviously, as we're saying here, looking at it from the left back position. Yeah, at times he probably is still inverting, but it clearly is different. Whether or not we're going to see this time the sort of overlapping fullback that Celtic had with Kieran Tierney, I don't mean in terms of quality, in terms of what the actual managers wanting the player to do. Yeah, but it's something we'll also have to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think there was going to be expected tactical tweaks. We're still in the early days of being able to see that, Tony, because how he's setting up in these games could be completely different to how he then sets up at home to Ross County, and then you'd imagine against Rangers in Europe, there will be a bit of a change as well in terms of the tactics. But yeah, at the moment, that's the way it seems to be working, and maybe Burnley will benefit from that. I don't know. Obviously, the idea would have been he was probably signed as somebody that could invert pretty much all the time, which probably isn't going to be the case anymore. But aye, I thought it was an interesting performance from him. That's probably a fair way to describe it. It did have its positives, but a few of the issues that we kind of highlighted last season and that maybe you and Ryan had discussed after the Yokohama game were still there for me.
Still prevalent. I still think he's a better player going forward, Aidan.
Yeah,
than he is a defender. So
at the moment, yeah, I think if he was a right winger, probably, or a left winger, sorry. I know that's probably a bit of a tired argument, and it's probably a bit of a lazy point for me to make. But if he was a forward player, maybe we look at him a wee bit more positively, because I think he can play a decent enough cross at times, and in the final third, he can be effective to an extent. But defensively, I think he's really got to work on it. He's quite bad for getting caught out of position, Tony, as well.
Yes.
Which now I know it's probably not easy comparing him to Greg Taylor, who was one of the best players in the team last season, but at the end of the day, that's who he's up against. So as a comparison we're going to make, he just seems to be lagging behind a bit at times when teams are counter-attacking, or even when they're just starting attacks. If the ball gets played over, he's always sort of chasing his man to run back. Well, that's maybe not always, but that's what it feels like when I watch him. Whereas Taylor, Alistair Johnson on the other side, Juranovic when he was there, even Anthony Ralston to an extent, is usually quite good for their positional awareness. It's probably something else that Bernabeu will need to work on.
It's that switching on and that spatial awareness. I mean, having played the poor pass, he switched on, and he wanted to do something about that.
Yeah, no, he did.
And he's ran 80 yards, and he's forced to keep it into a mistake, and he's ended up with a tap-in. He got his reward. You're not always going to atone for an error like that, but it's good to see that he switched on. He's clearly listening to the manager, because the manager said in his comments he played the last pass, so if you can affect it, go and do something about it. And he clearly did. So that's what I like, that that message is now seeping through to the players from Brendan Rodgers, because I thought in terms of how they set up structurally and the way they played, it was kind of night and day from the Yokohama game, wasn't it? There was a determination there that they didn't want to lose a goal. Yeah, they got lucky with one off the post and stuff like that, but these things happen. But there was, the players that came on, like Bosun Law, and they get a mention. Liam Scales got a mention too. They were throwing their heads at things, near the end, and Seagrease made a couple of good saves as well. So I think it's clearly been spoken about, Aidan, about Yokohama, that, it is pre-season games, it doesn't really matter, but losing 6 goals is, doesn't put a smile on MD's face, does it? So that's what I was chuffed about today more than anything else, because I said right after the Wednesday, I said I want a clean sheet on Saturday. I would like a result to go with it. Got both, so I'm happy about that. And I say we don't need too much into pre-season games, but I just like to study players' behaviours and what they do, and there's a lot that pleased me out there today.
Yeah, I agree, Tony. There was plenty of positives, but we obviously, as worth highlighting, as you mentioned earlier on, that it probably should have been 2-1 if all the goals had counted properly. So I guess we wouldn't have got a clean sheet then. But Joe Hart didn't have a lot to do in the first half. In the second half, there was maybe a wee bit more of kind of attacks from Gamba Osaka. It was one that hit the post, and one that actually went like just behind the goal and sort of fell back into the net that I actually thought was in near the end. But it was probably a better performance, overall. Although I thought at times in the second half, both teams sort of dipped out of the game. Whether or not that's due to the heat, the fact Gamba Osaka right in the middle of the season, they're probably not wanting to overexert themselves too much in a friendly. But I think overall, Matt O'Reilly discussed it after the game in his interview with Celtic TV. He's like, it will be a good challenge and it will stand us in good stead for the season. We've worked hard in intense heat between Portugal and now in Japan. But I can't help but think they'll probably be looking forward to coming back home and maybe training in less severe conditions.
Yeah, yes, I would have thought so. 170 joining us live. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I've started a few comments here, so I'll just take a few of them in. Aidan, okay? Hazel Finn, how you doing, Hazel? Bet you never thought you'd be reporting a Bernabe winner. Indeed. Neil Reid, competitive match, solid performance all round. Yeah, Neil, I agree with that. It was competitive enough. It dipped a bit in the second half where the second half team didn't it, but it came alive again near the end. Hazel Finn.
That happens in these pre-season games though, Tony, doesn't it? When you change the whole team, it's very rare that even if Celtic had scored 3-4 goals in the first half, I think it would have been unlikely that to have been the case in the second 45 minutes, because it's just, that's something you never do in a competitive game for obvious reasons. You don't have that many subs. It's 5, isn't it? So, it's just, you've seen even in games before when Andrew used to make a lot of changes near the end that bringing 3 players on took the sting out of a game sometimes. Not that the guys coming on weren't good enough or, were any less equipped than the players already in the park, but just that momentum can go out the match sometimes. So, but that's what it's for. It's just for guys to get minutes at this stage, isn't it?
Yeah. Hazel Finn saying a clean sheet was important. It was important to me, and I'm glad they did it. Alan Robertson comes in. He's talking about Haksabanovic. He's saying he's a concern. He should be doing a lot better than games such as these. I've got to agree wholeheartedly with Alan. I was really disappointed with Haksabanovic's contribution in both these pre-season friendlies, and we've earmarked him as a player that we think and we hope that Brendan Rodgers can improve, but I don't think he showed us anything in those 2 games. I'm not having a go. I just want to see more from him because I think it's in his locker, but I don't know. I'm not overly concerned, but I would just like to have seen him. James Forrest played well today in that first half. So I was wanting. I'm just wanting to see a wee bit more from Haksabanovic. That's all.
I would completely agree, Tony. I think he's been really disappointing in these last 2 games. He was being earmarked over the summer as maybe somebody who was going to break into the team, and he still could go on to have a phenomenal season. The competitive campaign's not even started yet, but you can't help but think that if he's not really showing in these matches or kind of just going missing at times, and that is going to stick in Brendan Rodgers' head as being, well, I don't know if Haksabanovic is somebody I want to start against Ross County on the opening day. Now, there's 3 pre-season games left. Is that right? No, 2. Now, Wolves and Atletico Bilbao, so there's 2 pre-season games left now. If he doesn't make an impact in either of those, unless there's sort of an injury crisis before the start of the season on the wings, I'd be very surprised if he was beginning the match against Ross County, to be honest.
Yep. CB comes in. Maeda, Iwata and Hitachi were excellent in the first half, desperate to win in Japan and catch their national coach's eye. Agree with that. And Charlie McGarvey saying Celtic were defending a very high line, and the manager talked about that. That hasn't worked in Europe before. And Plunge McNugget comes in. How you doing, Plunge? You like the look of Ohm. Now, you spoke about Ohm, or you wrote about Ohm, didn't you, in the immediate reaction? You said he was tidy enough without being all over it, basically.
Yeah, which I know probably when we say it like that or write it like that, it probably does sound like a bit of a backhanded compliment. But yeah, he didn't really have a lot to do in the game. He had some nice touches, some decent enough passes, and it was a couple of times he tried to sort of flick it in behind that maybe just didn't go his way. But no, I thought it was fine. He's a young player as well, Tony, 20, isn't he? So
listen,
it's younger than like some of the guys that with even Mikey Johnson and that. Do you know what I mean? So I think he is going to be a good player. All the scouting reports, all the data we've seen at the time, marked him as sort of one of the top talents. Nominated for the Golden Boy, etc. The Golden Ball Award, sorry. And I think he'll be an exciting player. That's probably just him sort of getting his way in. The fact he wasn't involved in the squad for the Yokohama game, maybe had a wee knock or something as well. So Brendan Rodgers hasn't mentioned that. That's just us speculating. But no, he's somebody I'm really excited to see more of this season.
He just sort of eased himself in tentatively, didn't he? And did okay. Thought he was tidy enough on the ball. So yeah, another one I'm looking forward to seeing more of. Sean Blease comes in and says, always like David Turnbull, good player. Honestly believe Rodgers will get the best out of him, just like Tom Rodgick. I hope Rodgers can get the best out of him, and if he's anything like Rodgick, Celtic will want to watch. But I said earlier, I still think, that Turnbull can make a valid contribution. Stephen Kennedy comes in and says Rodgers will get get the best out of some of the players that didn't feature under Ange. I think so too. And Tam Maxey and Bernabe, the Marathon Man, or Bernabe, whatever way, pair anyone from 2. And yep, but yeah, it's Mojo Rising coming. It's Bernabe, right? Okay, it's Bernabe. That. There was an Argentinian guy on another Celtic channel, and he was asked how it was pronounced.
We'll go with Bernabe then, Tony.
Bernabe, right? We'll do that. Okay, and that's fine. And Hazel Finn saying James Forrest was looking fit today. Yes, he was.
He was good. I thought Forrest was actually quite effective in that first half, and probably a bit like Turnbull, Tony. I don't know about you. That's probably the best I've seen James Forrest for a while.
Yeah.
I know he was another one with injuries last season, and even in Andrew's first season, he really struggled to get fitness, and actually the campaign before that as well. Really, it's been 3 years. He's kind of been ravaged with injuries after having a good run. But no, I thought he was pretty positive. None of us are expecting James Forrest to be a regular starter for Celtic, but if when he's involved, he's putting in performances like that, I'll be quite happy, to be honest.
And Alex Duffy comes in. Yeah, I totally agree. Forrest looked sharp. Haxa looked lethargic. Turnbull best game yet. Fitness the main objective. Yep. The manager mentioned that too. And Francis PC Green coming in saying Maida played through the middle. That's his best position.
Yeah, I'm of that opinion now, Tony. To be honest, I would like to see him more regularly through the middle this season. Now, I know there's a caveat of what do you do with Kyogo then? You can't not play Kyogo in the big games. That's obviously something Rodgers is going to have to tweak. I mean, I just wanted to actually, I can't remember if I'd asked you about this earlier in the week or not, but would you be basically wanting to see Maida through the middle now as well and moving away from the sort of left wing position now? Would that be kind of your thoughts, or would you worry then about what would happen with Kyogo?
I would worry. How can you drop Kyogo?
I know. How he fits him in.
How can you dislodge him from that place? Exactly. I always say, you can't get enough good players in your team, Aidan. So if there's some way to shoehorn Maida in somewhere around that front line alongside Kyogo, then so be it. But I'm just liking the fact that when he's been asked to play there, he's actually looked really, really good. So yeah, I'm liking what he's producing at the minute. I'll leave that up to the manager. That's a $64,000 question, isn't it? Does Maida dislodge Kyogo from the number 9 centre forward position? I still say no, but again, that's the manager's call, isn't it? CB comes in with a big call. 100% agree. Maida, maybe Brendan's Jamie Vardy. There you go. There's a statement.
Interesting comparison that. To be fair, I mean, it could be spot on. It is one of those ones, because Kyogo's arguably one of the most talented, or not arguably, is one of the most talented players at the club. So effective last season, 34 goals, I think it was. It's interesting that it's obviously the manager's playing somebody else kind of in there now ahead of them. Now, I think probably part of that's down to the injury he's been carrying. Rodgers obviously said that himself, and Kyogo said that in his press conference, that he's got a shoulder knot. We're guessing it's probably that same shoulder that's troubled him in the past. But look, there could be games maybe next season, or not next season, sorry, the season coming up, that if Kyogo's not involved, it's not a guarantee that O starts through the middle. Maybe it's going to be Maida.
Yeah, I'm also thinking as well, Kyogo's got a plethora of goals for Celtic, hasn't he? He is now going to become a marked man, isn't he? So it's not. No, I think it's quite shrewd of Brendan Rodgers to try Maida at the centre forward position. And also, as you say, Kyogo was carried that shoulder injury and it's an issue. It has been an issue. So you need somebody. You might very well need somebody. Needs must. So if that's Maida to do that, so be it. As I say, I've been very impressed with him in that number 9 role. All being equal, I still think Kyogo gets a nod over him, but I still think it's wise of Brendan Rodgers to say, right, let's have 3 guys that we can put in that situation. As well, Kyogo, and Maeda and see where we go from there. Because Kyogo that's him instant. He's sort of saying, right, he's had 2 seasons, he's ran Scottish football, defence is ragged. They're coming for him now, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly, Tony. Exactly. I think it's good to sort of change it up a wee bit, and all gives you that difference as well. I think he was kind of getting described in commentaries, maybe not being quite as sort of quick or agile as Kyogo, but he's also got other talents. We know how we feel he can be from set pieces. He showed that near the end of the season. Very good in there as well. So it's good to have a balance, but I do understand where you're coming from, that it's very difficult to drop Kyogo. I just put in the chat there, and for anybody that's obviously listening, I've just put in it's a link to, it's actually a story about Joseph Juranovic being involved in the deal that apparently Celtic are near completion, but that was the first one that came up. I was trying to bring over from the website, but I think it is worth touching on that Celtic that guy's completed his medical. Mike Rocky, where we're going with, Tony? We would basically just call him Rocky because I'm terrible at pronunciations, but Rocky is what we'll just call him then. He's reportedly like he's completed his medical, so from what we understand, that pretty much an announcement should be imminent on him joining. I just thought that was worth touching on because that is breaking news in the last hour or so.
Yeah, Polish media are claiming that he's signed a 5-year deal, aren't they? Worth €5 million. That's coming out from the Polish end of things. Celtic haven't released any kind of statement or as of yet, but Polish media are certainly saying that the Legia Warsaw 6'3" central defender Mike Naroki has signed a 5-year deal at Celtic worth €5 million. We wait for official confirmation of that, but certainly that's the word back home in Poland saying that deal has gone through or will be going through. So we shall see. Francis PC Green, Ira Tiger going to be his team. What do you reckon? Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I suppose O got 7 Nation Army, didn't he, for his goal during against Play the celebration. So it probably will be the case, to be honest, Tony. But yeah, I'm excited that we're going to have a scouting report coming on him on Monday. If he gets announced tomorrow, then it might actually end up going out tomorrow. But the plan at the moment was for it to go out on Monday. And reading through that, he's a really, really exciting player. It's somebody that Brendan Rodgers has obviously came up against in the past, as we touched on yesterday, Tony. He played Legia Warsaw. Leicester won the tie overall, but I believe they beat them 1-0.
1-0 in Europa League, yeah.
And he was a standout apparently in that game, and obviously Rodgers felt that as well, given that he's going in for him. Centre back's a position that you and I discussed on the squad depth video last weekend. That the player in there, even when Carter Vickers is fit, Starfelt's firing, it's good to have another option in there. And that's what it's going to be. Also, a decent fee being spent on him. €6 million, or was it €5 million? Sorry, did you say
€5 million? I think
€5 million. So maybe about 4.2 million then, roughly. Pounds. So yeah, he looks like he could be an exciting talent, and yeah, the exact age profile, 22 years old. For Celtic's sort of player trade model, it's perfect. Obviously, we need to see him play, but based off the scouting report and sort of the profile of him, I'm pretty happy if that can get done over the line, Tony, in the next maybe day or so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all kind of positive, isn't it, with Celtic? And as Hazel Finn also points out, still got the 2 Koreans to come in if the paperwork ever gets completed.
Yang's in the UK, as far as we know, so I'd imagine that that deal will hopefully be completed relatively soon. I don't know if Celtic are going to want to do some sort of treble announcement, maybe. I know previously they've had form, not for announcing 3 players at the one time, but recently they did, I think it was Moy and Jens last year, as part of a joint announcement. The year before it was Joe Hart and James McCarthy, so there might be at least a couple of players announced together, Tony, hopefully.
Might well be a treble. They like trebles.
They do like trebles.
Paradise Way, don't they, to be fair, as of late.
It writes itself, that tweet, Tony, that announcement tweet, to be honest.
Correct, yes, indeed. So we wait on the official confirmation of Rocky. I think we'll just call him Rocky, for the time being.
Until he gets asked how to pronounce it, I might just do Rocky, because I always worry that I don't want to offend him with my terrible pronunciation.
Yes. Now, in the top left of your screen, you'll see it says Celtic Way sit down. Now, tomorrow, Aidan, there will be a Celtic Way sit down going out in that video. Is that going out tomorrow? Yes.
Going out tomorrow, Tony. Yep, it's scheduled, so people might have seen that appear in our YouTube feed. I'll let you dive into explanation since it was you who conducted it.
Oh, so we can tell them what it is then, yeah?
Yeah. It's been scheduled, so you can tell people what it is.
You might have watched the video where I picked out my top Celtic moments. I did 7 because I'm greedy that way, or I just couldn't limit it to 5. But tomorrow, going live on I'll say recorded, it's pre-recorded, but it'll be going out tomorrow, and it's the wonderful midfielder that is Paul Lambert picking his top 5 Celtic moments, the 5 Celtic moments that made him. But tune in for that. It's an hour of absolute gold. He's a class act on the park, class act off the park. It's worth tuning in and to hear some of his moments and just the way he talks about football and some of his fellow teammates. The King gets a mention, the King of Kings gets a mention, as you probably would have gathered, Aidan. But he also speaks a wee bit about his time in Germany and players that he played with as well. Just a great hour spent in the company of somebody who's been there, seen it, done it, and got the T-shirt. Champions League winner Paul Lambert. So look out for that, guys. Don't miss it. It's highly enjoyable. Well, it's enjoyable for me. I was just like sitting there saying, this is great. So yeah, and hopefully it becomes a kind of regular feature. Try and get some guests on to talk us through their top 5 Celtic moments. As regular as it can be, Aidan, we get people to agree to do these things, sit down and come in and talk to us. But yeah, a good one to kick off with. You'll enjoy that. You'll probably guess what his best moment is, but hey, I'll let him tell you in reverse order, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 type thing. So nice one. But no, a great way to end the pre-season tour of Japan, Aidan. A loss and a win, but nice morale boosting win, gets that fitness back up, Aidan, to acceptable levels. Celtic will now go to Dublin next Saturday, take on Wolves, gets ratcheted up again a notch. Brendan Rodgers said he was looking forward to that, having taken on Wolves with Leicester and stuff like that. He says I've got a top class manager, but yeah, Hazel Finn, Lambert, a class player, certainly has class act as well, class person too. So yeah, you'll enjoy that. But no, I'm looking forward, Aidan, now to the kind of countdowns on, isn't it, for the start of the season?
Absolutely is, Tony. And I think that'll be a really good test for Celtic next week. I know obviously Wolves are in early pre-season as well, but you're playing a team in a very strong league. They've obviously recently sold a player for all sorts of money to Saudi Arabia and Ruben Neves. So yeah, it'll be interesting time, probably maybe a decent indicator of seeing where a good chunk of the squad are at, really, in terms of being able to match up. And obviously the Champions League's a step up again from that, but this is probably a kind of decent early tester, as well as Atletico Bilbao will be on the Tuesday as well, of course, because a league opposition, I think it's a strong way to end the pre-season against 2 teams from the top 5 leagues. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'd imagine Rodgers will have a point to prove as well when you're coming up against a Premier League team. So that always adds a wee bit of an edge, which is good for these games.
Indeed, lots of pluses from today. The clean sheet being the biggest one, Aidan, and Bernabé scoring the winner there. I got it right there, didn't I? I got it right that time. Chuffed at that. But yeah, I just think it's lots to build on there. I was a wee bit disappointed on Wednesday, I have to say, with the concession of 6 goals. I was just a bit kind of miffed at that, but they've put a smile back on my face today, Aidan, with some things that pleased me greatly, certain individuals, and I'm looking forward to see what Brendan Rodgers does with other individuals, Turnbull being one of them, who I think could be the surprise package of them all, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Turnbull will be, hopefully, the surprise package. Or even if that's just maybe pre-season tour. In a way, if we take that in a nutshell, he's definitely stepped up and looked good over sort of a couple of games. Maida as well. I suppose we already knew how quality a player he was, but maybe not as much of how effective he could be through the middle. But no, it's been positive, and pre-season, like I say, it's going to ramp up with these next couple of games against probably better opposition than Celtic have came up against so far. So yeah, no, it's all positive. All roads leading to that opening day against Ross County, Tony, which I know will be also your first day back after your holiday, I should say. I don't want to wish it away, but have a good holiday, mate, obviously. And Ryan and I we'll hold the fort over the next couple of weeks.
keep the home fires burning and all that kind of
Yes,
stuff, Aidan.
yeah.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you know, if you're a regular contributor, regular viewer, I'm off for 2 weeks now. It's been a long time coming, but hey, yes, I trust you boys to steer the good ship Celtic way in the right direction and not blow it off course, all right? But any problems, you know where to reach me. Okie dokie. I'll get Paddy to answer the phone. That's what I'll do. Probably speak more sense than me anyway.
Aeroplane mode for 2 weeks, Tony. That's what I've been doing.
Airplane mode, yes, indeed. But guys, thank you for joining us. That was, I think we got up to about 200 there on the live feed. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Try and read out some of your comments as well. Sort of went through quite a few of them, but it's just you're just anxiously waiting the start of the new season now, isn't it? Pre-season's always kind of one of them. Is you don't want to go in studs up, you don't want to get in too heavy, you don't want to get carried away with anything. But you know, the other day, food for thought. Today, things a lot that pleased the Celtic supporters. We now move on to Wolves, and we'll see. I want to see if that's any indication of the starting 11 that will feature against Ross County. Aidan, I'd like to think he might go heavy and hard on that and play a team that will resemble something that will play against the Staggies. And then you've also got possibly Rocky to come in, your South Korean players. So there's a lot to be positive about, is there not?
Yeah, I have plenty to be positive about, Tony. And like I say, we'll obviously be here with lots of coverage across the whole season. Match reactions are going to be a regular thing after games, when obviously they are possible. I mean, most of the time it'll be a mix of me and Tony, me and Ryan, or all three of us maybe for some matches, potentially Champions League games and Rangers games. So yeah, no, definitely we'll have, like I say, plenty of coverage across the season.
Which largely explains our tardiness today. Then we are spinning plates, aren't we? We were working, so if you were on the feed long before we came on, we apologise for that. We do try and make the kind of time that we say, but sometimes it's just not possible, especially on game day when it's all hands on deck, isn't it, Aidan?
Okay, we got there in the end, Tony, but we got there in the end.
We do indeed. We work to our own kind of clock, don't we? You're all used to it by now. That's the thing, and you give us good grace in that. So, but we appreciate it greatly. So, thanks for joining us, guys. I hope you enjoyed today the match. 1-0 win for Celtic. They're coming back home. Next stop, Dublin, Aidan.
Next up, Dublin, yep, Wolves next week, and me and Ryan will be building up to that throughout the week coming, and we'll also have a match reaction after the weekend.
I'll see you in a fortnight, guys. Thank you very much. I'm away for a lie down in a cold, dark room where I'll probably be told to take my dogs out. There's no rest for the wicked and all that. But thanks very much. I'll see you soon. Take care. And before we go, in fact, just if you like these YouTube broadcasts and the sit downs and the morning briefings, why not subscribe to the website, and you can help support top quality football journalism covering the club you love. And it's all for the click of a button, guys. We try and give you value for money on that one. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And tune in tomorrow. Lambert's well worth it. Thanks very much. Thanks for your contribution there, Aidan. Stellar as always.
Cheers.
Take care.